What's up? It's your man, Marv Francois.
And I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis.
And this has been episode number 30. See how I did that? Because he sounded absolutely terrible. So
How did I
don't
sound
ever.
terrible?
This is what
That's how you sound.
No,
that's
not.
exactly how
No,
you
it's
sound.
not.
I
No,
didn't
it's
use
not.
enough big words for you?
No.
Do I need to use
No,
big
you had
words?
the words correct, but your pronunciation, the tone. That
Oh,
came
you don't
out
know
of
what
your
it is? Here's the Chiseled Adonis problem. I'm glad you brought this up. He has a problem with enunciation. Now, people who watch this podcast, who are fans, know that when the Chiseled Adonis talks, he speaks like this so you can see his back teeth. So he's enunciating everywhere. Am I lying? No. Am I lying? Yeah, I'm not lying.
Now you're being disrespectful.
No, I'm not.
Let me tell you something. You're wearing a shirt that says "Buy Black," right? You ought to be black and blue. I'll tell you that
That's
right
the problem.
You ought to be black and blue.
Okay, no, but am I
We're
wrong?
going to have a whole lot of workplace violence.
Okay, hold
right
on.
now.
Wait. Now let's break this
Because you
down.
won't come and disrespect me like this.
We are here to do a podcast.
Oh, yes,
right?
indeed.
Why am I? I'm just pointing out the obvious that when you speak, right? It's a whole lot of this. Am I wrong?
You're right. I wonder how you gonna speak in the afterlife. When you in the upper room, I wonder how you gonna speak to your ancestors.
Listen,
because they gonna be saying, "Yo, how'd you get here so soon, Marvin?"
Right.
And you gonna be like, "I don't know what happened.
No.
I was in the Chiseled Adonis house and I was making fun of him,
Yeah.
and suddenly I found myself
In the
next
upper room.
to Josh Norman. I don't know how I got here, but that's what's fixing to go down. If this is how you want your final day to be, and I'll no longer extend your stay on this.
Where's the accent coming from?
Over for you,
This
bro.
is the jokiest opening ever to Hold My
I'm
Nuggets.
just letting you
This
know.
is the jokiest. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's neither here nor there. This is episode number 30 of the Hold My Nuggets podcast. Here where we talk 50% sports, 50% real shit, 100% of the time. And if you don't like that, you can hold my nuggets.
Suck my dick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 30 of the Hold My Nuggets podcast. I didn't know we was gonna make it this far. Really and truly.
Yo,
I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this coming.
This guy said the same
thought?
thing every episode.
Who would have thought, man? 30 episodes in. This is a milestone. This is our Steph Curry episode, brother. Yeah, this is our Steph Curry episode, brother. We here, we live, we direct. We've come a long way and still have a long way to come. Pause. But we are here, and I'm happy to be with you, my brother. How you feeling?
Kind of long lasting.
How you feeling?
Ignore
it. How you feeling, brother?
I'm all right.
That's good, man.
I'm all right.
What's going on? What's new with you? You got a lot of things going on. I see you got the Chiseled Adonis hat in black. When exactly is the merch?
November 20th.
Is that the day after my birthday? You see, what he wanted to launch it on my birthday, but he recognizes we all see it as a national holiday, so he had to push it. You know what I'm saying?
It had nothing to do with you, Chief.
So why November 20th, if you don't mind me asking?
Because a month away. Son.
Okay, there you
and
go.
I'm finally getting everything that I need to get.
You
so
understand?
now that the clothes is finally coming in,
right,
we could go and do a full month in preparation to make sure everything's in line.
Right.
So there's no more fuck ups and shit.
Right.
And then at that particular time, we gonna give it to the people.
Why are you speaking like this?
Because we're gonna give it to the people. They're gonna get what they want. They want some merch. They're gonna get some merch.
Oh, this is Bernie Mac.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I feel like it's Bernie Mac.
You feel like it's Bernie Mac because of the odds, but I've been speaking like this since I was 16 years old.
That's not true.
Don't ever disrespect me like that, Chief.
I mean, if we're going to talk about disrespect, I think one thing that's disrespectful was what took place a couple weeks ago in the NBA Finals. Because,
weeks?
A week? Was it last week?
It was a few days. It was just last Sunday.
No, it's not. I mean, it seems so far because it was just so brutal to watch. I try and tuck it in the back of my memory. Well, not brutal for me. Not brutal for me, but I see you wearing a jersey here that would allude, you understand, to the fact that you yourself are a fan of the Miami. Is it the Heat, the Weak? We don't know. We don't know. But that's neither here nor there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode number 30, and we're going to get this episode started off with talking about, how could we not, the NBA Finals of the 2019-2020 season that came to an end a couple of days ago. I don't know what he's doing. Came to an end a couple of days ago where the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Miami Heat 4-2 in what was an interesting series, to say the least. I don't know why he's cracking his knuckles, but I think this episode is going to end shorter than expected, where the LeBron James-led Los Angeles Lakers beat the Miami Heat to win their 17th championship and send the Miami Heat home. Now, Dave, of the Chiseled Adonis, what were your thoughts on the series? Go ahead.
Well, buy black, buy that. Black and blue looks like the future for you.
No,
I'm telling you that right now. If you're
going
to keep disrespecting my Miami Heat, the El Caliente, just because they went over there and happened to lose, don't mean they didn't put in quite the valiant effort. Now, granted, there's no moral victories when you talk about sports.
Right.
Congratulations to the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm not going to be this guy who's going to come over here and start, oh, well, they only won because you had injuries in Game 2 and Game 3. I don't do that bullshit, all right? So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. But you're not going to make it seem as if Miami just came out of here and just wet the bed. You've got situations where Jimmy Butler had played 93% of all available minutes in not only the postseason, but in the NBA Finals. This man, the game before, played 47 minutes in about 12 seconds.
Right.
He sat on the bench for under a minute.
Yeah.
Under a minute.
Yeah.
Okay? And he went out there and bowled. They just ran out of gas. They went to the gas station, looked like they was in a bit of recession. There was nothing that they can do. And then Game 6, Bron turned it on, and since galvanizing people around him, Rondo had 19 off the bench. Only so much you could do.
Right.
I don't feel bad about the Miami Heat.
Right.
Okay? I'm proud that they were able to get this far because nobody believed in them.
Nobody believed
outside of myself and the people who reside in Dade County.
Yeah.
No, it was literally us against the world, and we made it this far.
Them Dade County goons.
So I ain't upset. I'm ecstatic for what the future holds because I believe this is a team that can make it back. And in fact, because of the way that we lost, and we could always make the argument, had we been at full power, it's a possibility. We could have forced the Game 7. So because there's a what if that's there, I know we haven't reached our ceiling. So because that's the case, I'm all right. Because I know Miami's filled with dogs. And those guys on that roster, they not satisfied with, we got an Eastern Conference championship under our belt. Although we lost to LeBron James and everything, we should just be proud that we made it this far. Oh, no. We ready to go back. LeBron talking about revenge season completed. Well, guess what? Our revenge season just started. And we going to see you next year because AD opted out of his contract. And he fixing to go and re-sign, and he's coming back to L.A. But guess what? We going to be back with the same roster. And we going to see y'all in the NBA Finals next June, depending on what COVID does, with the schedule. Because right now, it look like the off-season fixing to go through the winter. Season might end up starting up in the spring. So who knows when the NBA Finals is going to be played. Whatever the case may be, we going to see them. And I don't know if you saw the news or not, but looks like Pat Riley and the Miami Heat are trying to go all in on Giannis in the 2021 free agency. So we may just be bringing in a Greek freak to the Miami Heat. But I ain't too worried about that because that's 2 years from the future from now. All right? I'm worried about tomorrow. And guess what we're going to do tomorrow? We're going to sit on our couch because obviously ain't no basketball. But next season, we going to go see y'all. LA, we coming for you, Bron James. Yeah, man, but we on that L train, man. They put us in the death note. I'm sick. That's all I got to say about that.
Are you finished or are you done? You done?
Is my, keep disrespecting me.
No, I'm just asking you a question. I don't know if it's my turn to speak. I just want to know. Is it? Can I speak? Can I speak? I'm going to take that as a yes. Jay Crowder, clam chowder, makeup powder, power hour. I did that. Lakers in 6. Lakers in 6. I need you to listen to me, and I need you to listen to me good. Ladies and gentlemen, run the tape if you need to. Go back to the episode right when or before the season started. I said it then, and I'm going to say it again now. What did I tell y'all from the beginning? I said this is the season. This is the season. If there was ever a season for LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers to get it done, I knew it was going to be year 17, the 2019-2020 season. I predicted it. I said it was going to go all the way. I wasn't worried about no Clippers, no Nuggets, no Jazz, no none of that. You feel me? I said it was going to be the Lakers' year to get it done. I don't talk like that. It's the Lakers' year to get it done, and it got it done, and then some. I tried to tell y'all about that man in Los Angeles. I tried to tell y'all about that man, Bron. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody was hearing me. Everybody was talking about the Clippers. You understand? Everybody was talking about the Nuggets, all these other different teams. We now focus on them. We focus on that man, LeBron James. Championship number 4. Finals MVP number 4. Let me get a 4. Huh? I'm talking about, let me get the stats. LeBron James through the series, 29.8 points, 11.8 rebounds, 8.5 assists. AD, 25 points, 10.7 rebounds, 3.2 assists. Absolutely sensational. One of the best duo performances historically that we've ever seen in the NBA Finals. Ladies and gentlemen of the court. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, need I say more for us to understand what took place? No, but on a serious note, it was very, very, I mean, I would say fun, but I guess we all knew how it was going to happen. I predicted that the Lakers would win in 6. They did win in 6. Now, first off, big up to Miami, because we knew coming into the series, one thing that they had over the Lakers was depth, and it showed. In a sense, why? Because Miami had 6 players that were averaging over double-digit points through the finals. That just goes to show you how deep they are, because outside of Anthony Davis and Braun, the next highest scorer throughout the finals was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and he only had 12. Then under him was Rondo. He only had 9. They didn't really have much to work with. So AD and Braun had to put the team on their back. You understand what I'm saying? And that is exactly what they did. Now, to be honest with you, as I watched this series go on, there were certain moments and parts of this series that really led you to believe that this series could have went anywhere between 5 to 7 games. Why? I'm looking at you look at what took place in Game 5. Last sequence of the game, where who kicked it out? I think it was Braun who kicked it out to Danny Green.
Yes.
For the game-winning shot, Danny Green misses it. Keith Morris gets it back. Braun is open near the top of the key. He throws it out of bounds. They end up losing that game. That was the game where your man's had the triple-double, didn't sit down for anything less than a minute, left it all out there on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Danny Green hits that shot to go into OT. We don't know what happens.
No, that would have gave him the lead by 2.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about that. No, they were.
Oh, yeah.
Because they won
Miami
the game.
was only leading by 1.
Really?
Yeah, they were only leading by 1. And then if Danny Green had made that would have gave him the lead by 2, because once they missed it, then Markieff Morris threw out of bounds.
They threw out of bounds.
Inbound, came to Tyler Hero. He got fouled, went to the free throw line, made both those free throws. They won by 3.
Right. So that's one of those games. Danny Green hits that 3. Lakers win that game. They're up 3-1. They go in a game.
Well, no, they would have won the series. They were already up.
Yeah, I'm
they were already up 3-1. Yeah.
You understand? So the series could end in 5. But then on the same accord, I'm looking at I think were the 2 biggest pieces, after Jimmy Butler, 2 most important pieces to the Miami Heat, in a Bam Adebayo and a Goran Dragic. Bam, of course, was out for the first 2 games. Dragic had the plantar fascia. He was basically out for the majority of the series, and back when he came in, he was essentially a non-factor.
Yeah, he got hurt Game 1. He was actually the first one to go down.
Right.
Yeah, he got hurt Game 1. He didn't come back until Game 6.
Right.
And then Bam, he went down Game 1. He missed 2 and 3, and then he came back in Game 4.
So, if those 2 guys are able to remain healthy, the way that the Miami Heat were playing, like I said, especially considering excluding Jimmy Butler, there were 6 players on the roster with double-digit points. I think this series goes 7 games if those 2 don't get injured. But for the most part, it is what it is. It is what it is. What happens. LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers are your new world champions. 17 times. That's a lot of championships.
I mean, that's more Lakers.
But
still, the one thing that I what bothers me is because going into the series, everybody was like, oh, man, the Heat. They're going to be outgunned. They're going to be outmanned. They're about to get swept, right?
No.
Game 2, Miami comes out and puts on the best performance offensively of their experience in the bubble yet.
Right.
Only problem was the Lakers did it too.
There you go.
So they had zero defensive efficiency in Game 2, right? Because it felt as if every basket Miami got, LA answered.
Right.
Because LA, if I'm not mistaken, they went into half up by like 10 or something like that going into half. I cannot recall. But Miami came out, and we've seen them do it all playoffs long.
Right.
They explode in the third quarter.
Right.
And they did. They scored 39 points.
Right.
Problem is, LA scored 37.
There you go.
So, and AD went off. He had 15 in the quarter and showed, I'm dominant. Through 2 games, AD was actually the MVP, and then he laid an egg in Game 3, and then from that point, it was all Braun.
Right.
But still, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5. Miami started to play better defense, and they had the lead in each of those games. The only problem was, in Game 4, they threw it away. So once they lost it, and they allowed LA to go and take the lead, because it turned into terrible shot selection. Right. It looked like they had no offensive plan.
Yeah.
They'd come down the court. One guy got the ball. Tyler Hero takes terrible shot selection. It'd be Jimmy Butler. I'm driving to the paint. He did it all series long. Drive to the paint instead of laying it up or possibly getting to the foul line, I'm going to kick it out to 3 to somebody and not take those shots that are available to you. Right. So I don't know what happened psychologically between game 3 and game 5, but those situations, that although they went 2-1 in those games, it should have been 3 in a row. Because game 4, Miami should have won that game. Game 2, if they played any type of defense, if they actually turned up the game sliders on their defense, this could have been a 7-game series. But ultimately, that's not what happened. LA won.
LA won.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And now LeBron James, like I said, has captured his 4th NBA title in his illustrious 17-year career. And it's been the talk of the town. Everybody's having the discussions of who's the GOAT. Has he finally passed Michael Jordan? Has he finally reached Michael Jordan's level? Is he still under Michael Jordan? GOAT talk is going all around. And LeBron has had his fair share of things that he has said. We saw that post-game after they won the championship. He had the a quote where he was like, the Laker Nation wants their respect. Gene wants her respect. Pelinka wants his respect. I want my respect too. He said, I want my damn respect too. That happens. Then after that, there were like some clips like when they're, celebrating and stuff like that. He's talking to people like, well, what they gonna say now? What can they say now? And things of that nature. Then, I believe it was yesterday or the day before. No, I think it was the day after the chip. They won, and he comes to Instagram. I forget what the caption was in the thing where they were like,
they'll make up a criteria.
They'll make up a criteria.
Yeah, that nobody ever had to live up to before. Yes,
yeah. So, he's been more vocal this time around, winning his 4th chip about just everything. LeBron James is no fool. He hears all the talk and the chitter chatter, the doubters, the critiquers. He's had the spotlight on him from when Son was like 15, Son was 12. Like 14, 15. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? But now he's finally reached the point where he's speaking out about it. But I think the question for me that I definitely have to ask you is, with the IG captions, with his post-game comments, with everything that he's been saying, do you think LeBron James is actually hurting his case for greatest of all time, speaking out the way that he's been speaking out?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Everybody deals with media differently.
Right.
Michael Jordan didn't really care too much about it. His game talked for him.
Yeah.
And there were times in which people would trash talk him, or if people were to question, his legacy. It got to a point where you couldn't do it because when Jordan, here's the difference between LeBron and Jordan. The reason why they have a case against LeBron is when LeBron became the man, he didn't win every time.
Right.
When Jordan became the man and he finally got over the hump, nobody beat him.
Nobody.
He only lost one time. And that was only when he came back after not playing for a year and a half, and then they lost to the Magic.
Right.
But when he made it to the top, he never lost.
Never.
Bron's case, and although there are many different factors that go into winning an NBA Finals,
and
let alone losing an NBA Finals, so this is not a knock on Bron at all.
Right.
But with the way that he addresses in the media and everything, I don't think that hurts the GOAT debate at all. It just means that he just listens to what people have to say. Now, does it bother him? Perhaps. But does that affect his play on the court? No. Because have you seen a drop-off since year 3 in the league? When he finally made it to the playoffs? Did you see a drop-off since year 2 in the league when he became an all-star? No. This has been 16 consecutive years, and the only 17. Yep. But I just discount the rookie year, but you really shouldn't.
No.
So it's been 17 years in the NBA,
just greatness.
Balling.
Just greatness.
Absolute greatness.
Yep.
So I don't think this hurts his case at all. And it's funny that you bring up that he's been in the national spotlight since he was 16. I saw on Twitter.
The commercial?
Yes, when they were doing the intro package for, I think it was the championship game or the first national televised.
When he played Oak Hill.
Yeah, against Oak Hill. Yeah. You had him, you did your opening talking about Kareem, Magic,
Larry
Bird, Oscar Robinson,
Jordan.
Michael Jordan. I think Kobe was in there too.
Yep.
Shaq or something like that. And then they were talking about all these people known by one name, and here comes LeBron with all the... And he not only lived up to the expectation, he exceeded it. Exceeded it.
Yep.
So when it comes to the GOAT conversation, my thing is I look at it as GOAT, but I changed the spelling of it. So it's still a GOAT, but it's GOTE because it's greatest of their era. All right, and
GOATE.
Yeah, exactly. So if no Bob, Rosetta Stone, Haitian Creole, motherfucker. But in the case of greatest of their era, that's the way we should look at it. But greatest of all time, I don't know.
Right.
But does this hurt? To answer your question, does it hurt his case? Hell no. No, it does.
It's very interesting because I agree with you, but at the same time, I have an asterisk next to it. So I don't think it hurts his case, but at the same time, I definitely don't think that it helps it. if we want to take a look at the number one Braun hater on the face of the earth, Skip Bayless, I'm not a fan of the way Skip talks about Braun and the way that he's berated Braun for basically his whole career. However, I do follow him on Twitter, and there was something that he did say in one of his tweets that I kind of agreed with, where essentially he said he kind of came at Braun for the comment about demand my damn respect too, because he always compares him to Jordan, and he basically said Jordan never had to demand his respect, you understand? Or nobody, Jordan never had to question the doubters or whatever, because nobody ever doubted him, which in and of itself is true. But at the same time, you got to look at it this way. On one hand, to the point that I made earlier, you have a player in a LeBron James who's had the spot, like national media attention on him from when he was an adolescent up until this point in his life, right? He goes from having to being the greatest high school athlete of all time, going from high school to the NBA, and has shown us nearly 2 decades of just greatness. You understand what I'm saying? And throughout the entire period of him doing so, he's amassed 4 NBA MVP, regular season MVPs, 4 Finals MVPs, and now 4 NBA championships, and he's never really said anything. He's kind of just, we've all just heard all the sportscasters and sports writers question him, talk about he's not clutch this, and he doesn't have killer instinct, and just constantly attack him, and he's never ever spoken out about it. So I think for Braun, he's kind of reached a point in year 17, he was like, nah, I'm tired of being quiet. I'm going to talk my shit, because I'm that guy. I've been that guy. I will forever be that guy, and I'm going to say something about it, because y'all getting me tight now. So I respect it. But on the other hand, to Skip Bayless's point, if you great, you ain't really got to say nothing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not mad at Braun for saying it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, this is just something that he's been dealing with for a while, and I would appreciate it if he had just left it alone the way he's been leaving it alone. But at the same time, you can only deal with so much. You understand? Especially when you have the Skip Baylesses of the world that are constantly coming out publicly and trying to find some way to diminish your greatness and to diminish the accomplishments that you've been able to achieve in the NBA. So I think it's a two-way street. You understand?
That's fair.
It could go either way, but that's the way that I see it. But now, moving forward, like we said, the Los Angeles Lakers are the current 2019-2020 NBA champions, and now we have to look forward to the upcoming season. I don't know when the next season is going to start. They said Christmas, but...
Oh, no, there's no way.
I don't think so.
There's no way. I think free agency is starting around Christmas.
Got you. But it may, realistically speaking, it most likely, like you said, to your point, it'll be one of those things where they start more towards like the spring. That's what makes the most sense, because where they have enough time to do the draft, training camp, for players to get rest, of course, and it'll be interesting to see how they conduct it moving forward. But now, the focus going into next season is who will be the favorites to win it all into the next upcoming season. So I gotta ask you, for you personally, based on what you're seeing, and also what you expect. You talked about your Miami Heat, right? We have several teams like the Sixers. They just hired Doc Rivers as a coach.
Yep.
We have the Clippers who just finished hiring Ty Lue as a coach. We'll talk about that a little bit later. A lot of teams that are going to be looking to make some off-season moves, additions, getting rid of some bad contracts, etc., etc. For you, what do you think are the top 3 teams going into next season that should be favored to win it all?
Well, for one, you got to look at the defending champions, so
Right.
you probably lean towards the Los Angeles Lakers. And then also, I don't even think the Clippers would be that much of a top 3 sort of projected thing either, because I don't think they're gonna. This was their year, and they missed that window.
Right.
So I think you have the Lakers. Miami again, because of I think their grittiness can get there, and then also the Brooklyn Nets. I think it's a far gone conclusion in the West. The Los Angeles Lakers are coming out.
Really?
I think it's a far gone conclusion. I
Interesting.
don't think there's a single move, even though Golden State will be back. Even though the Nuggets are still ascending and they're gonna get their guy back as well. I think it's a far gone conclusion. LA is going back to the finals. I think they are dead set on not only just winning the championship, but running it back. I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll make it back. There's a possibility they could win, but they will make it back. I think the true question is who else is going to come out of the East, because I know Brooklyn will make their push. It all depends on matchup, but I know Brooklyn will make their push. I'm not going to bet against my Miami Heat. I'd love to say Milwaukee, but they need to add somebody if they truly want to go, the distance, because they played a hell of a season this past season. I think the break, because of COVID and quarantine, truly did stifle their momentum. But for the most part, I think in the East it's Brooklyn or Miami. In the West, it's LA, that being the Lakers.
Well, if you're talking about the East, if we have to go down the list, in terms of Brooklyn, I don't know. I can't put Brooklyn in there just for the simple fact that you have a Kevin Durant. I've gone on record on the podcast to say I think his transition back into playing basketball will be fine because of the kind of game that he plays. Yes, an Achilles tear is the worst possible injury that you can get in the world of sports. However, because he's not a LeBron type player where he's physical and doing everything, KD's a skill player. He's a finesse guy. So his game, him transitioning back into playing, is not going to be all that much affected. You understand? So I think he'll be fine. However, I got to see it first. That's one. And then two, you have a player in a Kyrie Irving. He has a very long, riddled injury history. I'm very concerned for him. Remember, Kyrie didn't finish last season.
He didn't finish the last three, if I'm not mistaken.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, Kyrie Irving, are you going to be healthy? Kevin Durant, are you going to? I mean, Kevin Durant's injury history isn't that bad, but still, that's also a big question mark too, because he's been away from the game for like what, a year and a half now?
Yeah, it's been since it was a 2019 fall. So it's been a little over a year and a half.
Little over a year and a half. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so little under a year and a half.
Yeah, a little under a year and a half. And you have the addition of Steve Nash. We have to see how all these pieces
combustible elements.
Because essentially they're a new team now.
Yeah, Remember, pretty much. Yeah,
KD wasn't there. New head coach, new everything. So the Nets, I'm gonna push to the side. The Miami Heat, I like the way that they're constructed, and like I said, because they have so many young pieces with a great leader in a Jimmy Butler who's not going anywhere, they're only going to get better. So I'll give you that one. Other teams in the East I would possibly look at, for me, my favorites are the Sixers, but that also has an asterisk because it all depends on, can Doc Rivers pull that dog out of Joel Embiid? Can Doc Rivers put something, or the Sixers organization as a whole, put something in place to force Ben Simmons to get a fucking jump shot? You understand what I'm saying? If they can get those things to happen, the sky's the limit. So, and then and like you said with the Bucks, I mean, the Bucks, they're always going to be favorites, but at the same time, it's like every year it seems like it's the same thing when it comes to the playoffs. Chris Middleton is damn near a no-show, and Giannis gets stifled because they put that wall up on
exactly.
Can't really do nothing. So I'll give you the Heat, and I'll say the Sixers along with it. But going to the West, for me, I got three teams. You understand? The Los Angeles Lakers, that team in California that wears purple and gold, and Braun and them. That for me, those are my personal favorites coming out of to win it all next season, because I'm a firm believer the way you're a firm believer, and then some, because you think they're going back to the finals. No, I think they're about to repeat. It's a foregone conclusion. I'm interested to see how this offseason plays out because KCP opted out of his contract. We don't know if he's coming back. AD opted out, but we know he's coming back.
Yeah.
KCP, we don't know. And they definitely do need to make some moves. I would like to see them go after getting another all-star-esque player that is a shot creator. You know, personally, if we can move heaven and earth to get Bradley Beal, sensational. I don't know if that's going to happen, but if we could, that'd be great. If not, maybe a Donovan Mitchell, maybe
yeah, that's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think the Jazz going to happen.
No, the Jazz going. He's going to qualify for that Supermax, and I don't think he's going to turn that down because that's going to be his first contract, first real contract.
Gotta get that money. Gotta get that money.
So
you can only hope. But it's going to be very interesting to see what moves the Lakers do and don't make this offseason. But in all seriousness, if I had to choose another team besides them, I'm going to choose a team that you actually don't think. Oh no, I think you did say is that going to give them a run for money, and that's the Golden State Warriors. Because listen, man, the Golden State Warriors were the forgotten ones this season. It's people were talking as if they weren't a whole dynasty in and of themselves. You had Kenny Smith that came out and said that not necessarily that Dame was a better point guard, but that Dame had more range. Remember that Dame had more range, and Steph was like, you lost your mind. You bugging out. You understand what I'm saying? Clay, who was out all season long, of course, because of the ACL tear. I'm looking at these Golden State Warriors, man. Steph is back. Clay is back. Draymond, stinky. This is going to be the season to remember, because I think they're going to come out head hunting because they have something to prove, and to remind everybody that they are still the top dogs in the Western Conference. And I believe, and on top of that, don't forget, they have the number 2 pick. They could move that around to add some pieces to create some depth through that roster. So all eyes are on the Golden State Warriors. Like I said, I think Steph is going to come out and be a top 3 MVP candidate, because like I said, he heard all the talking, they heard all the chirping, they heard all the noise, and they have something to prove. So I really, really like that team going forward. But let's stay in the West. And let's stay in the state of California. We're talking about the Lakers. We're talking about Golden State and Oakland. But there's another team in California.
Sacramento.
No. There's another team in California, you understand, that unfortunately needs to be addressed. And I think that the Los Angeles, not the Lakers, what's it called? The little bro.
Oh, in the barbershop.
Yeah. Motherfucking the Scissors. The Los Angeles. Nope, that ain't it. Hold on, wait a minute.
The Clippers.
There
That's
you go.
what it was.
The
Clippers with the capital L.
Yeah, capital L, big L, big L. The Los Angeles Clippers. We got to talk about them because I think news just came out today that the Los Angeles Clippers have officially found their head coach to be the man that I perfectly predicted was going to get the position. Tyronn Lue is now the new head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. I believe he got a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
Into the upcoming season. Much love and respect to him. Very, very happy for him.
Which is funny because didn't Doc get a 5-year deal in Sixers too?
Yeah.
Well, ain't that something? Huh?
Ain't that something? So the Clippers have found their guy in the Ty Lue. I don't think they interviewed anybody out-house. I think they only interviewed Sam Cassell and Ty Lue. I don't think they brought any outsiders to do any interviews. Once I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, Ty got the job because I didn't think Sam Cassell was going to get it. But they found their guy. Ty Lue is now officially the new head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. And I got to ask you, how does that hiring of Ty Lue affect the Clippers' chances at an NBA title going into this upcoming season?
Well, for one, I would assume because he's been there already, the team doesn't necessarily have to work their way into a brand new system. Because for one, Ty Lue having already been on the roster, he can just say, all right, what you guys were doing defensively, still run with that. Offensively, we can just do minor shifts, but it's not going to be anything too serious. So I like the hiring, all right? Because Clip to my Lou showing up there.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
You missed out on
it.
So I figured I wanted
to
to
pick
give
it
it a
up.
shot.
Yeah,
you know. But with Ty Lue there, I think it's not really going to do anything substantially different.
Gotcha.
I think there's still going to be a presence, defensively. Offensively, like I said before, the minor tweaks. But it's nothing that really knocks my socks off. I need to see if this guy can go out there and truly coach his ass off. Because although he did a hell of a job when he was in Cleveland, let's just be honest, he had Braun.
Yeah.
And until you can coach your ass off like Eric Spoelstra without Braun, that's how you prove you a damn coach. Because no matter where Braun was, he gets all the credit for what you do. Yeah. So here you are, Ty Lue, opportunity to do what Doc Rivers couldn't. And take the Clippers to their very first conference final. If he can do that, you've got my due. And people got to put some respect
on Ty Lue's
on your name.
Yeah. So the question is, how does the hiring of Ty Lue, affect the Clippers' chances of an NBA title going into the next season? And the answer is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't, because they ain't going to win. Why? Because, well, it's very simple. The Lakers are better. Golden State, when healthy, are better. And the Nuggets are better, And they have a better chance at winning it all. The reason why I say that is because those three teams have something in common that the Clippers don't, being that they've shown me they can do it in the postseason. The last time that we saw this group in the postseason, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George folded like some MacBooks. You understand? And when their team needed them the most, they choked. I have no faith in the Clippers going into this season. Don't get me wrong. They're still a powerhouse of a team. They have depth. Defensively, they're going to be one of the best teams going into this season. But there are still some question marks about this team that have yet to be answered. It's going to be interesting to see how Ty Lue deals with it throughout the duration of however long the season is going to be. The number one for me is, what's the whole load management situation going to be like with Kawhi? You understand? How many games is he going to be taking off? If he's going to be taking any off at all, we have to see that. Who is the leader of this team? We understand who the emotional leader is, Patrick Beverley, but I'm talking about who's the guy that is going to literally say, I'm taking us to the promised land. Magic Johnson was on First Take the other day, and he had something very interesting to say where he said that you have a superstar in a Kawhi Leonard and a star in a Paul George, but just because you have a superstar player does not necessarily mean that they're the leader. That just means they're a superstar. But one does not necessarily mean the other. You understand what I'm saying? So in the case of the Clippers, I don't have a clear-cut guy that I can point to be like, that's the guy. When you look at the Lakers, Braun is the leader, of course, of the superstar of the team. But with the Clippers, I don't see that. It's not Paul George. And Kawhi is damn near mute. So it's like, it's not him either. I just have a lot of questions about this team moving forward. And I agree with you. I think that if there was a season for them to get it done, I think it was this season that just passed. I'm not necessarily sure what to expect. I mean, I think Ty Lue will do a formidable job. However, this is a situation where this is not a rebuild. This is not a we'll give you 2 years. No, you got to win now. They gave him a 5-year deal, but you have to win right now. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where if we see any resemblance of what took place in this past offseason, Paul George is out the door. I don't think they get rid of Kawhi. I think they keep Kawhi. Paul George is out the door. You understand what I'm saying? And they're going to have to make some drastic moves because the goal here is not just to win a championship, but remember, that team is constructed to beat Braun. Yep. That's the reason why I thought they was going to get Ty Lue in the first place, because not only is he have the championship pedigree and he's played and all these different things, but he's coached with Braun. He's worked with Braun. He has experience with Braun. So who else would be better to coach a team that's built to beat Braun than a man that's worked with Braun? But I just don't see it happening, man. I just something about this team, man. They have been, are, and will forever be the little brother of Los Angeles. And I got all my chips on at the LA Lakers to come back and win back-to-back championships coming into next season. But now,
good day.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it. But now we transition from the NBA to the NFL, and I want to talk about one of the more hot topics coming throughout this week because. I think you would appreciate this because we're going to be talking about your guys. Yeah. Guys. The Killer Bees. Those are your guys, right?
Oh, the Killer Bees got killed.
No, they killed.
They got killed by the Killer Bees.
Well, no, they killed themselves. Yeah, they killed their career in a sense.
Whole lot of Jeffrey Epstein up in here.
That was a lot. This is a family show, brother. I don't really know if that flies where we're going to, but if you don't know who we're talking about the former Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll address both of them, but let's start off with a Mr. Le'Veon Bell, who just a couple of days ago, yesterday or the day before that, was released by the New York Jets team. And today, as you guys are watching this podcast, the day after, yesterday, right, was officially signed by the Kansas City Chiefs. No details on his contract, I think, has been. No, but they picked up his. They just picked up his Jets contract. But now, Le'Veon Bell is officially a Kansas City Chief. Wow, Antonio Brown is still sitting at home, stinky, waiting for somebody to sign him and for him to continue what we would hope to be the rest of his NFL career. But I gotta ask you, when you see what's happened with Le'Veon Bell, we see what's been taking place with Antonio Brown. We'll start with Le'Veon first, actually. Now that Le'Veon is officially signed to a new team in the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, what do you think the future holds for him in the rest of his NFL career?
Well, for one, it comes down to production, because he had came out in the media himself and said he got a bit complacent. So what does that mean? You admitted you got the money, and the minute that you got the money, you relaxed. Yeah. Because you already, knowing that you went to the Jets. Now, granted, I never had anything against him going to get his bread. Mm-hmm. As much as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan I am, I implore players, go and get your money. Right. Because for him, he just wanted guaranteed money. Right. Although Pittsburgh gave him, an offer for a larger contract, the guaranteed money wasn't the same that he would have been getting from the Jets. And ultimately, that's what he wanted, security. Right. So he ended up getting that. However, you already in a bad situation on a losing football team that does not prioritize winning. Moreover, the offensive line is utterly atrocious to where you didn't even get a single 100-yard game. But here's the difference. Because elite backs in the league still will find a way to go over 100 yards regardless of the fact of how garbage their team may be. Those transcendent players, those all-pro players, those Pro Bowl players, earned Pro Bowl, not just given Pro Bowl. Right. Those players find a way to be effective on the football field. Le'Veon Bell said, I'm going to rest on my laurels. I'm just going to relax. I'm going to put out this content in my rap career rather than focus on trying to win football games. Right. And he wet the bed in New York. Yes, so him going over to Kansas City, and he said he wants to win a Super Bowl. But guess what, brother? You can't just show up and ride the coattails to a doggone Super Bowl. Shady McCoy did it last year. But this time around, it's going to be a bit difficult. All right? Because it's not going to be easy. This is an extremely challenging season where literally it's anybody can win. Yeah. Because it's survival of the fittest. No. This is literally the season of survival of the fittest. We seen it 2 weeks ago with Cam Newton. The Patriots played a sensational game, but Cam had COVID. Yeah. So there's at any moment you can lose a player because they could be at the wrong place at the wrong time. So you've got to be ready. This is the epitome of the next man up sort of method. So Le'Veon, who just came off of admitting he rested on his laurels, he's got to walk into Kansas City and be the Le'Veon Bell he was when he played in Pittsburgh. Mind you, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he ain't no scrub.
No, you got some
These past, couple of weeks, he hasn't exploded like he did in the first 2 weeks. But this guy ain't no scrub. It's not like he's just going to lay down and let his job be taken because Le'Veon Bell has notoriety.
Right.
Hell, LaShawn McCoy walked in with a ton of notoriety, and still Damian Williams had him beat out for the job.
Right.
So Le'Veon Bell, you got yourself a new job. You came to the defending Super Bowl champions, but you've got to go out there and produce, brother.
Right.
You got to go out there and produce. It's in your hand. Go and deliver it.
Well, now the question is not now moving forward. It's not a matter of you have to go produce. I think the real question here in his case is, will you produce? Because when you look at his numbers with the New York Jets, yes, the offensive line was atrocious. Yes. That team as a whole is just I mean, good Lord of mercy. They need to get rid of Adam Gase expeditiously. But now you're in a system with a high-powered offense, right? Arguably the best offense in it. Not even arguably the best offense in the NFL. What will become of Le'Veon Bell? For me personally, I mean, he's still in running back years. He's not necessarily young, right? Because as a running back, when you come into the league, you're basically in your prime automatically.
Yeah, automatically.
I believe now he's 29 years old. It's going to be interesting to see how he fits into that Kansas City system, given that, to your point, it's not like they're running back lists. No, they still have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right?
Yep.
Is Shady McCoy still on the team? Or
No. He's on Tampa Bay, actually.
Got you. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use him. However, this is the last stop. I think that if he doesn't get it done here and they cut him, I don't think any other. Matter of fact, I'm surprised they even picked him up to begin with, to be honest with you.
I have no clue where they're getting this money from, to where they can pay for these people. It makes no sense. I don't know where they got this bread from. But on top of that, remember, Kansas City is a running back by committee sort of situation. Andy Reid likes to utilize his running back, although there'll be some who get more of the workload. But he likes to move people around. The saving grace in Le'Veon's case was when he was playing at his prime in Pittsburgh, he was the best receiving back.
Yeah.
Out of the backfield, because he was damn near number 2 receiver. He was the second leading receiver for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Right? So because that was the case, him going to Kansas City, that's just another weapon for Patrick Mahomes. But again, it's the willingness to go and produce, because the last 2 years we've seen nothing.
We've seen absolutely nothing. So I mean, like I said, it all falls on the shoulder. I think for me, like I said, this is the last stop. I don't know if any other team would be willing to take a chance on Le'Veon if things don't work out with the Kansas City Chiefs. So you have to get it done. Find a way to be effective in any which way possible, because if you don't get it done here, brother, you ain't getting it done anywhere else.
Somebody gonna pay him though. Somebody gonna pick him up.
You think so?
No, they may not give him. He's not gonna get no large contract, but somebody will pick him up.
Yeah, I mean,
but it depends on. It depends on.
Deal.
1 year deals. Yeah. But it depends on how he gets. How the season ends out. Because the problem with the Jets was not only was he not producing on the field, the off-the-field antics on social media, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't be out here liking tweets, berating your team. Yeah. You shouldn't be over here speaking in roundabout ways about how you don't like it here. Right. You came here, brother.
Right.
This was your decision. This was your decision. You came here.
Right.
Now, I've never been one to be, oh, man, on social media, you got to make sure you tread lightly in what you do. But you can't blatantly be out there disrespecting the very co-workers that you work. That's ridiculous.
Right.
And then sit here like, I didn't do anything wrong, and try to play the victim. You can't do that. You're better than that.
Yeah.
All right? So, ultimately, I'm curious to see how things play out. I really hope it works out for him in Kansas City, because this guy was on an arc to possibly be a Hall of Famer, and then whoosh, dropped all the way down.
Right.
So he had better have a career resurgence in the final, from this until he's done, or else everything that he worked for in the first 5 years of his career was for nothing.
Well, I'm happy you brought up Hall of Fame arc, because when we take a look at the other killer bee, you want to talk about a Hall of Fame arc, brother. That wasn't just an arc. That was probably, not even probably, the greatest, what, a 6-year stretch we've seen.
6-year stand of all time.
That we've seen since what?
Jerry Rice?
Yeah, good Lord of mercy. If you don't know what we talk about that bad brother, Antonio the Clown Brown.
Enough from the clown. That
guy who we're talking about. Antonio Brown, who's now been out of the league for a little over a year.
A little bit
over a year. Now coming into the season, a little bit before the season started, he was removed from the commissioner's exempt list, announced that he was going to have to was given 8-game suspension, and still has not yet received any interest or any offers from any teams, even though he's been taken off of the list. His counterpart, Le'Veon Bell, even though he's been has underperformed, is now with the Kansas City Chiefs. He himself is on the couch still, jobless. What do you think will become of Antonio Brown?
I think it's over. I think you take the L out of Lover. It's over, brother. I don't think Antonio Brown's back in the league.
Ever.
I truly, the only way that'll happen is if it's like an Alden Smith kind of story to where it's like, oh, redemption song.
Right.
And you come back like Bob Marley.
Right.
And all of a sudden somebody pick you up.
Right.
But his off the field antics over the course of the last 2 years have just been far too great.
Right.
To where somebody is willing to take a chance on him. Now, granted, the talent is still there because he literally left on top. This ain't like an Ocho Cinco situation. Because remember, when Ocho Cinco had headbutt his harlot of a wife, this was coming off of a very unproductive year in New England.
Right.
When Terrell Owens was finally, not re-signed by anybody after his last year in Cincinnati, although he was a little bit hurt. But if I'm not mistaken, he was 37 years old. So there's difference in some of these greatest, players. With Randy Moss, his final year in New England when they sent him to, I think he ended up in Minnesota. Then he retired for a year. He came back. Then he was in Tennessee. Then he was in San Francisco. These are guys who, for all intents and purposes, been washed. Mm-hmm. Antonio Brown, that's not the case.
At all.
But he could not keep his mouth shut, keep his off-the-field antics, kept under wraps. If he does get signed, I would hope to God that this man don't say a goddamn thing and he just go there and ball. Mm-hmm. But from where we sit right now, I truly don't think there's a team that's willing to take a chance on him. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, apparently, if he were to return, his suspension would be lifted by week 10. So anybody who signs him, he should be able to go and play.
Okay.
But there's no way he's going anywhere but a contender. I don't think his love and passion for playing football usurps his desire to be a champion. Right. But at the same time, is he willing to go and compete for a championship on somebody else's terms rather than his own? Because remember, he said this entire ordeal was him being able to control the narrative. And look where that got you. Going home stinky. And now we've got to sit here wondering what's going to happen moving forward. I hope it's not over, but from where I sit right now, you got to take the L out of Lover. It's over, brother.
I'm surprised you actually said that because once upon a time, that was my sentiment, but that was when everything was going on. I was of the mindset that I thought the NFL should have banned him like indefinitely, just for the simple fact that I thought it was about sending a larger message just for future players coming up. You got to understand, Antonio Brown wasn't just an all-time great talent who was balling out. He's a superstar. You understand?
Absolutely.
He was an icon for younger football players everywhere. And I was of the mindset that, listen, if the NFL really wants to send a message to future players and really just, lay down low when it comes to how they discipline players within the league, you suspend this guy for all the shit that he's doing off the field. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can send a bigger message than that because he's Antonio freaking Brown. I mean, look at the numbers if you don't know him. It's ridiculous. But now to see where he is after everything that's transpired, it's absolutely crazy. From him throwing furniture off the balcony at his baby mother's house to, remember, he was on Instagram Live with his current baby mother cursing around in front of the kids and all the stuff. You got calling Mike Mayock a cracker, recording John Gruden's phone calls, going to New England, sending texts to the shorty that sexually accused him. The list goes on and on and on and on. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's just sad. And don't worry about the noise that's going on in the background. That is the Lord coming into this place.
Is it? No, it's the matriarchal birth-giving Adonis.
Yes,
and having no respect for the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual D. Chiseled Adonis. Evidently, you get no respect. Might as well call me Rodney Dangerfield. You know they're closing down his comedy club? That's where I did my very first showcase. But we ain't talking about that right now.
That is where I did my second showcase. But we're definitely not talking about that. What we are talking about is Antonio Brown. And the fact of the matter is this. Is it over? I don't know. But if a team does sign him, to your point, it would have to be a contender. A team that's rebuilding would not take a chance on a guy like this with so many question marks and so many too many red flags. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm praying for the brother. I really and truly hope that, he's able to figure out whatever it is that's going on behind the scenes. And to a point that we made earlier on when we were covering the Antonio Brown saga in the midst of while everything that was going on. This is a classic case of someone that clearly did not, and probably still doesn't have the right people in his circle. Because Antonio, if you're, when you're a celebrity, especially at his magnitude, yes men come with the position, right? Where you have a bunch of people that would probably gas him up. I mean, we saw it in his Instagram comments. Motherfucker was acting up, and people was comments like, "Yeah, AB, keep going. AB this, AB that, that." Now look where that got you. You're at home stinky. You understand? You don't want that. Nobody wants that. And on top of that, I think the biggest thing with Antonio Brown is, once again, I don't think we've ever seen a wild card like this, because at one point he's announcing his own retirement on Twitter, saying, "Hey, I don't really need the NFL. Fuck y'all, I'm out of here." And then a couple days later, he's like, "I want to play football. I love football. The game is everything. I love the game." It's like nobody knows what it is with this guy. I also forgot to bring up the whole cryotherapy, burning feet business.
Yep.
This dude is just
can't forget about his child's mother, where he went and cursed her out on Instagram Live. And ironically, I thought that his cousin or whoever was in the house with him was maybe not a yes man. He's like, yo, don't put that on Instagram Live, because you could hear him in the background. Like, yo, I think he got the notification on his phone because he's just walking like, yo, why you want me to go get a clothes? Wait a minute. Hey, don't put that on Instagram Live. You could just, hey, shut the fuck up, get the clothes. So this dude clearly don't got the right people around him, man.
He got poor blame.
I'm
praying for Antonio Brown. If he is able to come back into the league, I think it would be great for everybody, because I mean, personal issues aside, I love watching the brother play. He's absolutely outstanding, one of the best to ever do it. And like you said, I mean, these things aside, even with his resume alone, has a Hall of Fame resume. But to your point, this is something that me and you talk about all the time. You brought up the Chad Ochocinco's of the world and things of that nature. Narrative plays a huge role in Hall of Fame candidacy. You know that better than I.
And it shouldn't, but unfortunately, it's the reality of the situation.
Which is exactly the reason why Terrell Owens, who's arguably a top 3 wide receiver of all time, was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's the reason why players like Chad Ochocinco will not make it into Hall of Fame. And we could go on and on and on and on and on. And in the case of Antonio Brown, this might just be another situation where that happens. And it's unfortunate, because the brother was special, but he was also stupid. So that's where we are with that. But now, taking it to the other side, because Antonio Brown was in the AFC, but let's take it to the NFC.
Or you should go with players who weren't playing out of the league, and now a player who was.
He's still in the league, just not playing
so much.
And we're unfortunately got to take it to the saddest, sorriest, most miserable, despicable division in the NFL. I am talking about the NFC least in the NFL, more specifically to my guy Dak Prescott, who unfortunately suffered a compound fracture going up against the Giants this past Sunday, where he will be out for the rest of the season.
About 4 to 6 months.
Rest of the season.
If they make it to the Super Bowl, he could come back maybe.
Don't patronize me. Rest of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, my guy Dak is out. I should have wore the shirt, but I wasn't able to. But I got to ask you, even though I should be the one that's first, it's fine. I got to ask you, how do you think Dak Prescott's injury not only affects the Cowboys season, but affects his future with the team given his contract situation?
Well, for one, my thing is, I just wish that they were able to lock up a contract.
Yeah.
Because although the offer, I felt like Dak was asking for too much, but given what the field had received, I understand why
get that money.
You would want the money.
Get the money.
So I get both sides.
Right.
My issue is the fact that he was playing on the franchise tag. I truly believe there could have been, at least, if there was a compromise, and he was locked up long term, and that security was there, I'm okay.
Right.
But I'm devastated because not only of the severity of the injury, but then what comes with it. Because now you're in a situation where, realistically speaking, I don't think he's going to get a contract of the stature that he actually wanted, nor will he ever reach that unless he returns and balls better than he did in this particular time. So it truly is devastating. As for the Cowboys itself, luckily for them, they have a top 2 backup in the league, and a guy who's been there.
Andy Dalton
hasn't done that, but he's been there.
Right.
And Andy Dalton, who's led teams to postseasons before.
Right.
Collapses, but led them to postseason, before.
He been there.
And Red Rifle, he ain't no joke. You saw him take Dallas down the field, and they won in spectacular fashion. He held it down.
Right.
It was against the lowly Giants, but it's still a W. It ain't easy to win games in National Football League. Everybody, you got to fight and claw for every single game.
Right.
But for Dak, this really sucks moving forward.
Right.
I'm hurt. I am hurt. I hope he can get the money that he was looking for. Not to the same severity, but at least get some security. And because they said it was, clean break, everything's fixed, there's no sort of, underlining issues that's going on with the ankle. He should be all right. But I hope he can come back full force, play at a good level, maybe get back to a Pro Bowl. Hey, he was leading the league in passing.
He was.
All time, the most passing yards through 5 weeks in NFL history.
I mean, because of how terrible the defense was playing, I don't think...
Absolutely, yeah. Had the defense actually had a pulse, maybe he wouldn't have to do it.
Right.
But here we are.
Yeah. What do I think this means for the Dallas Cowboys season? Well, I don't think it means much because I shared my sentiments in regards to my team a couple weeks ago. I have no faith in my team this season whatsoever. They didn't show me anything from week 1 up until now that gave me a reason to believe, when Dak was healthy, a reason to believe that we were going to do anything. I was of the mindset that we were going to win the season, 8-8, 7-9, 9-7 maybe, right? Get to the postseason and get clapped by whoever it is that's the 3rd or 4th seed, whether that be I don't know, not a Green Bay, or like I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. But we were gonna get shellacked one way or another. But now here we are. I think we'll still make the postseason because, to your point, Andy Dalton is no joke. He was once upon a time a solid starter in the NFL, and I think he will do his job. He won us a couple games. I think because of how sad the division is, we will still win. Because who's our competition? The Eagles, please. But in regards to Dak's future, which is the bigger question here, I think this, unfortunately, that is something. Christopher Vian, there it is. I think that this guy took his set off. Hey, I'll say this in closing. Listen. I think that Dallas unfortunately this is the last season that we will see Dak Prescott in the Dallas Cowboys uniform. I don't think that, to see how, you got to understand, this man had the most success. Okay, you don't got to take off 2 sandals, brother. To see this man was Iron Man before this catastrophic injury. You understand what I'm saying? Never missed a start, never missed a game. In his first 4 seasons being in the NFL, I believe 2-3-time Pro Bowler, has a playoff victory win under his belt. He's done more in his career thus far than Tony Romo did at this same point in time in his career. You understand? So there was no reason for Dak Prescott to not get paid. Then when you take a look at what he was doing this season, I compare his situation similar to that of a Russell Wilson because he was balling in spite of his team and their putrid defense. So now you're dealing with an injury. We don't know how he's going to... I pray and hope that he comes back in full health, but this is only going to add to the bargaining chips of the Joneses family to try and lowball him and not give him the money he feels that he deserves or he feels that he can get. So I think that this is the last season, unfortunately, that Dak Prescott is a Dallas Cowboy, and I think that moving forward, maybe they decide to go with the Andy Dalton, maybe they look into the draft. I don't know what they do. But all in all, above all else, I'm praying for Dak's health, and my apologies, brother, that we couldn't get a deal done. But in the case that I am wrong, and they are able to figure out a deal moving forward, that's great. But the question is, how much? Because realistically speaking, the only way I can see that working is if Dak is like, all right, I'll come down. And I don't see that happening. I think even with the injury, I think Dak Prescott is like,
And nor should he.
We shouldn't. Absolutely not. Because for reasons like this.
Yeah.
This is exactly why security is important, not just in the National Football League, but in sports all across, because anything can happen, especially in a league like this, where injury is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
It's a part of the game. Those whom are Iron Man, like the Eli Mannings, the Peyton Mannings, the Phillip Rivers, those people of the world. Even the Matt Ryans. I mean, he was pretty much always there. Drew Brees, guys who Drew Brees when he was in New Orleans. I mean, he did have the Chargers when he was Chargers. Yeah. But guys who they show up every single Sunday, and Dak was one of them. Dak was never missed a game, and here you are, you end up missing it. Right. Now it's a question of, man, will he ever recover? Will he come back the same way?
You understand?
Truly, right now, who knows what the future's going to hold, man. Right. I just hope they're able to work it out. Before I had predicted, I thought this was going to be his last year in Dallas, but because if it wasn't for Jameis Winston, of course, would have led the league in passing. Because he threw 4,900 yards last year. Then having the most passing yards in NFL history through the first 5 weeks, I think somebody is going to pay him. Somebody. I would hope that it'd be that, but probably. Jacksonville, because this Gardner Minshew experience it probably. Yeah.
Jacksonville, the Colts.
Yeah.
Somebody going to get that man his money.
We'll find out when the time comes.
We'll find out when the time comes. And like I said, I'm praying for Dak. Hopefully he is able to get back to tip-top shape and come back and prove the doubters and the haters wrong. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes episode number 30 of the Hold My Nuggets podcast. Like I'm from Boston. punchline for bastard. Listen, I'm your host with the most, Maul Francois, and to my left, I have the
diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical, individual, the chiseled Adonis.
And this is the Hold My Nuggets podcast, here where we talk why does men have the sandals. 50% sports, 50% real shit, 100% of the time. And if you don't like that, you can hold my nuggets. Suck my dick. Thank you. Good night.